Dutton Ranch just gave us its quietest episode of the season, and somehow it still ends with a phone call that one of the show's own stars is calling like pressing a nuke. And then the finale trailer dropped, and I genuinely think Rio Paloma is about to become a battlefield. Let's talk about everything that happened in Whiskey Limits, what that final phone call actually means, and then walk through every single second of what El Padrino is setting up for the finale this Friday. The episode picks up exactly where the chaos of the anniversary party left us. Beulah is airlifted out by helicopter after her collapse, with Rob Will riding along at Everett's insistence, while Oriana and Beth are left behind at the ranch with nothing to do but wait. At the hospital, the news is actually good. Doctors stabilize her, perform an angioplasty, and confirm she's going to survive. And I honestly thought there was a real chance this show was going to kill her off right after finally giving her a real backstory. Instead, the moment she's conscious, she does something so perfectly Beulah. She demands to see both her sons together, tells them flatly that they're brothers from cradle to grave, and orders them to fall in line because keeping Beth and Rip close is non-negotiable if 10 Petal wants to survive. And she gives Joaquin a reason for choosing Rob Will that I think reframes the whole Succession storyline. She tells him Rob Will got the ranch not as a prize, but as protection, because he's weak and she needs to keep him controlled. That's not the answer of a mother who values one son over the other. That's the answer of a woman managing a threat she's spent decades trying to contain. When Rob Will tries to push his luck and tells her he wants to get rid of Rip and Beth too, she shuts him down immediately. The business doesn't survive without them, and she knows it. There's also a genuinely sweet beat, buried in the middle of all this tension. Everett tells Beulah he's ready for a real shot at romance with her, and she fires back, "If I knew a heart attack was going to change your mind, I'd have had one a lot sooner." And then the two of them basically break out of the hospital together before she's officially discharged, just to get one quiet afternoon away from everyone. After everything we learned about Beulah's past 2 episodes ago, I honestly think she's earned that. Carter's storyline this episode is rough, and I mean that in the way it's clearly meant to be. He's blackout drunk on the ride home, falling off his horse, getting sick all over it, while Rip shows zero patience for him. The next morning, he tells Beth he's quit school for good. His dream is to be a cowboy, full stop. So she sends him straight to 10 Petal to put that to the test, hangover and all. It does not go well. He forgets his gloves, leaves a gate open, gets pulled off his horse trying to rope a stray calf, and finally just breaks completely, screaming at Rip and Beth that he doesn't want saviors who just took in an orphan. He walks away from the ranch entirely, tries to get a job from Sheriff Wade, gets turned down, and ends the episode with absolutely no direction. I know a lot of viewers are tired of this particular storyline at this point in the season, and honestly, I understand why, but I think the show is using Carter's spiral specifically to set up just how alone and reachable he is right when the finale needs him to be vulnerable. But the real engine of this episode is Austin. He's been the quiet, suspicious presence in the 10 Petal bunkhouse all season, and this week he finally breaks. He tells Rip and Zachariah, who Rip had strategically planted there weeks ago specifically to gather intel, the truth about the Jacksons. They're not ranchers. They're running an illegal cattle smuggling operation across the Mexican border, moving stolen livestock into the country using completely forged paperwork that bypasses every disease and health inspection. And that's the answer to the mystery that's haunted this entire season. That's exactly how a foot-and-mouth infected bull ended up at Dutton Ranch and wiped out Rip and Beth's entire herd back in episode 4. It wasn't bad luck. It was the Jacksons' own criminal operation bleeding into their lives. And it's also why Wes had to die. He got too close to learning the truth, and Rob Will silenced him for it. Which brings us to Joaquin and the call that ends the episode. Furious that his mother chose Rob Will over him, he takes the actual murder weapon from Wes's killing straight to Sheriff Wade, trying to finally get justice. But without a body, Wade has nothing to work with, and he makes it brutally clear he's done entertaining Joaquin at all. Alone, humiliated, and out of options, Joaquin breaks down at a cemetery and then makes one final call to his biological father, Mariano Reyes. The same Mariano from the 1981 flashback, the man who covered for young Beulah and ended up paying for it with his own freedom, the man whose son she took in afterward as her own. In Spanish, Joaquin simply says, "Hi, Dad. I need your help." Juan Pablo Raba, who plays Joaquin, told TV Line exactly what that call costs his character. He called it his second biggest heartbreak of the whole season, right behind losing the Succession itself, saying, "It's like pressing a nuke. You know everything's going to end, but you don't see any other way of doing it." And TV Line didn't hold back either, suggesting Mariano might be about to become this show's first real villain with a capital V. Before we get to the finale trailer, I have to mention something massive that happened in the middle of all this. Paramount Plus officially renewed Dutton Ranch for season 2 on June 24th, just 9 days before this finale even airs. And the numbers behind that decision are staggering. 12.9 million global streaming views in its first week, the biggest original series launch in Paramount Plus history. On cable, the Paramount Network premiere pulled 2.9 million viewers across its 2-episode debut, the biggest new cable series launch since 2023. This show isn't just surviving as a Yellowstone spin-off. It's outperforming almost everything else on the platform. Now, the finale. Titled El Padrino, Spanish for the Godfather, it drops this Friday, July 3rd at 3 a.m. Eastern on Paramount Plus, with a Paramount Network broadcast at 8 p.m. that same night. And the trailer makes it very clear that Joaquin's phone call already worked. Mariano finally shows up in person, walking right into Beulah's own office and threatening her directly. "You'll send your strangers packing, or I will." He's talking about Rip and Beth, who by now know far too much about the Jackson family's operation. We see a convoy of vehicles, almost certainly Mariano's men, heading straight for Rio Paloma. And there's a moment where Beulah sits across from Beth and Rip and tells them, "You were in a hole, and so was I." Which sounds exactly like a woman trying to warn two people to walk away before it's too late, only for them to refuse, and then it turns into something genuinely violent. At night, Rip senses movement outside the house, and it's Mariano's masked men closing in on the property. Rip says, "They want us." Beth answers, "Then they'll get us." What follows is Beth grabbing a gun, Azul and Zachariah loading their weapons, and Everett McKinney showing up with a rifle of his own, saying, "Well, I ain't seen my last firefight." A reminder that this man served in the Navy long before he ever became Beulah's reason for one more chance at love. The trailer ends in a full exchange of gunfire on Dutton land, and in a separate shot, we see Rip land a hard punch on Rob Will at 10 Pedal itself, which tells me this fight isn't staying contained to one location. So here's where we land heading into Friday. Joaquin set this whole thing in motion to get revenge on his own brother. What he actually did was summon a man dangerous enough to bring an armed convoy to the one family trying to build something honest in Rio Paloma. And I honestly don't think Joaquin saw that coming either. Dutton Ranch Episode 9, El Padrino, airs this Friday, July 3rd, on Paramount Plus and Paramount Network. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Mariano is the real villain of this whole story? Or is there someone even worse waiting behind him? And after that phone call cost Joaquin everything, do you think he regrets making it before the finale even starts? Because I think he already does.